Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and as you guys know, sometimes companies contact me and they ask me to make a video with some of their products, using their products and talking about their products in exchange for free product. This is one of those videos. These products are from ARTEZA. They sent me a tin of 120 watercolor pencils in all different types of colors and a pencil bag. This bag could be fun for these pencils or any types of pens or brushes or anything that you might want to take with you on the go. It's very sturdy, and as you can see, I'm putting 3 pencils in each little tab stretchy thing. I think 3 pencils will fit, so I can fit a lot of stuff in there. I put all 120 of these watercolor pencils in, and I also still had space left to do more stuff. I sorted them by color the way that I wanted them rather than the way they were in the tin. Also, it has a pocket on the front, and I can put my watercolor journal, which is also from ARTEZA, in the front. I can put my watercolor brushes from ARTEZA in it. So everything that I'm using today in this video is from ARTEZA. You guys have already seen this little journal. It's approximately 5 by 8, and they come in a pack of 2 or 3 depending on which one you get. Also, I wanted to talk about graphite paper. I ordered this graphite paper recently from ARTEZA for my own use, and what it's for is to transfer a drawing onto some type of a substrate that you want to use. Probably the number one comment that I get over and over and over in the last 4 years is, oh, I wish I could draw. I wish I could draw like you. I can't draw. And I always tell these people who say this, you can draw. You just need to practice. But for those of you who are absolutely insistent that you cannot draw, here is a way that you can do really great art without having to draw. This little thing that I'm tracing is a children's free printable coloring page off of the internet. All I did was type in free printable spring color page in a Google search, and I came up with thousands of results, and this is the one that I picked. It happens to be from the Spruce Craft, but I think they got it from somewhere else. It's just a free printable that you can get on the internet. And then I put the graphite paper down with the darker side down and the shinier side up, and then I laid my drawing over the top, or my printed out piece over the top, and I just traced over it. A good idea when you're tracing it is to use something like a red pen or a blue pen or something so that you can see where you've already traced. And you can use that thing over and over and over. You could use it for 1,000 things. In fact, sometime during this month, you will see me use the exact same coloring printing page that I just used in another project, using it a different way, because I want you guys to see that having a drawing or being able to draw is not stopping you from doing art. So once my transfer is on my watercolor paper in this little journal, I'm going to go ahead and color it using the watercolor pencils. Like I said, there's 120 colors. That's a lot of colors. And I also have this pack of ARTEZA water tank brushes that you have seen me use thousands of times. There's some flat brushes, there's some pointy brushes in different sizes, and you put water in the inside the handle, and then there's a little valve there where the red part is in the center that you can, it's kind of like some button you can push, and then the water comes out and the brush gets wet, and in this way you don't have to constantly be dipping your brush. So watercolor pencils are just exactly what they sound like. It's a pigmented pencil that is water soluble. So I am doing a method of coloring it onto the drawing and then blending it with the water in the water brush. And I do have lines because I traced with the graphite paper. I think that I could have probably erased them back a little bit more with a white eraser, because it is graphite. You should be able to erase it or blend it with the blending stump if you really don't like that hard edge line that I prefer. You guys know I like lines around things. It's part of my style. It's part of my look. So I do not mind that. However, if you wanted to, you could take blending stump and maybe wet it a little bit and then blend out so that it just kind of like shades. You could also probably go over it and erase it back so that it's barely there and only you can see it if you're really concerned about that line illustration look. So other things that you could do, you could take a image from a magazine that has a really pretty girl on it and you could use that graphite paper to trace. You know, you don't have to trace every single line. You can just make a generalized tracing of something and transfer it onto your substrate and use it. It could be a picture of the forest with a deer, and you just can isolate how much of that thing that you want to draw onto the page to make your painting or your collage or your coloring page, whatever you want to do. There's so much stuff out there available. And it's free and copyright. You know, you don't have to worry about the copyrights. Like there is a place called Unsplash that has thousands and thousands of photographs that you can use without a copyright. They're there for you to use. There's another place called Paint My Photo that has a lot of them. So you could print those out. You could use that ARTEZA graphite paper to trace them onto a project, and then you don't have to draw. That's what I wanted you guys to know. You don't have to be able to draw. I think that you should try. I think that you should practice. I think that you should make doodles and drawings until you're happy with what you're able to produce. You may never be happy. I'm still not happy, and people are constantly telling me that I draw well. So I still wish I drew better. That's just the nature of humanity. So to color with these watercoloring pencils, I'm using multiple colors rather than just trying one color. I'm using a dark, a medium, and light. And in the areas that there would be shadow, I'm putting the darkest color. So I used kind of a dark yellow, a medium yellow, and then a bright yellow. And I blended that out with the water. And then I decided I wanted it to be even darker. And so I came back in with a kind of orange colored pencil and made some darker shadows and blended that as well. You can go back over it. If you are going to go back over something and make it darker, I would suggest that you wait till it's a little bit dry because the paper is going to dent. You know, it's going to get scratchy marks on it. If it's wet and you go over it with the hard pencil, you will see some scratchy marks. So you may not want that. Another thing that I'm doing, and it's happening off camera, so you can't really see me do it, but when I come back in with a darker color, I'm dipping the watercolor pencil into some water that I have to the left of me off the screen. Like well, no, I didn't just do it now. I was getting more pencils. I wanted the camera to be zoomed in so that you could see my process with the coloring and shading. So you don't see everything that's on my desk. In fact, if you saw everything that's on my desk, you'd be like, wow, she should clean her desk. Which is true. So I'm picking different colors of greens, different colors of yellows, different colors of pinks and blues. And I don't want everything to be the same color. If this was a coloring page and I were a 10-year-old coloring it, I would get out my green crayon and I would color all the leaves and stems green. I would get out my pink and I would color the tulip pink. That's a really, really beginner way of doing it. If you use multiple colors and blend them together, it looks a lot more professional. It looks like a watercolor painting instead of a child's coloring page. Would you even know that this was a child's coloring page unless I told you? You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at? You can do it. Did the colors that I choose, did everything look really realistic as to the colors that these things would be? Probably not. A daffodil would be yellow and orange, and maybe this pansy would be purple. But some of my other color choices were whimsical because I don't need this to be realistic at all. In fact, I prefer it as not. I don't like realism. I like whimsy. Other things that I could have done and didn't is I could have drawn in some more flowers, or I could have used that same little piece and repeated it on the edges until the whole page was filled by retracing some of the pieces. You don't have to trace the whole thing that's on the page. You can trace, whatever pieces or parts that you want. So I could have put some more pansies over on the left. I could have put some more of those, I'm guessing they're crocus, maybe, on the right side, just to fill it in more. But I thought it was fine the way it was, and I was happy with it. So for the background, I didn't want to leave it white. I wanted to give it some type of shading and interest, and so I decided to use a light gray pencil. There's quite a few grays in the watercolor set, which is always useful for shading. And at the end, you'll see me doing some other weird shading that will surprise you. After you think everything's done, then I'm going to go back in and do something. But this is just kind of a medium gray. And I'm wetting the paper and then coloring with the pencil, which I'm frequently dipping in water to keep the lead of the pencil a little bit moist so that I don't get scratchy lines. And then I want the darker part of the gray to be close to the lines, and then I want it to be lighter in the middle. And so I'm dabbing in some cases with my paper towel. When you're doing any kind of water media like this, you should have a paper towel available for wiping off your brush and for dabbing and making areas lighter. I did that in other parts of the project as I was going. So what are some reasons that you might want to use watercolor pencils? If you are a control freak, watercolor might freak you out a little bit because watercolor the color only goes where you invite it. So there's a lot of water involved in the process. And sometimes the water will draw the color in places you don't want it to go. And for that reason, some people really, really avoid watercolors. With a watercolor pencil, it goes exactly where you want. The color goes where you want it to go because you're applying it with a pencil. You have a very large amount of control as to what color and where each little thing goes. So that might be one reason. Another reason is that it's pretty fun to combine watercolor pencil, the look of it, with, the kind of more of an illustrative look of watercolor pencil with other watercolor. So maybe you have a very loosey-goosey watercolor painted something and you want to bring it back into more of an illustrative style. You can take the pencils and add color and line and shape and form over that other watercolored piece to bring it back more to a drawing rather than a watercolor. It's all about style and what you like. I like things to be more precise. It's just my way. I think that lines around things are nice. I think that being able to control what I'm doing is nice. Those are some of the reasons why you might like to have some watercolor pencils. Maybe you just like to color. Maybe you like to do adult coloring pages and you think it would be fun to use these to give more of a blended look over what you might get with like a true pencil. To blend something like a Prismacolor or some kind of actual pencil, it takes a little bit more doing. You might need to push a lot with a blending stump, or you might need to use something like Gamsol to blend it. If you really want a blendy look, this is an option for you, is to color in this way and then blend it out with water. And if that's what you like to do, if coloring really calms you and makes you in your Zen place, this is a good option. ARTEZA has great prices. Their products are a good quality, not necessarily maybe a professional quality, but a good high quality student grade product that has a reasonable price. And they have so many products. I just saw that they came out with some acrylic markers, which I'm excited about because you guys know I really love Posca pens. And Posca pens are acrylic markers, and I'm wondering what the ARTEZA ones are like. I haven't ordered them yet, though, but I've been seeing that those have been advertised recently. So I'm excited about that. I'd like another option of a Posca pen type product, which I enjoy a lot. So after I've got all my drawing drawn in, I do need to do something about the base. I don't appreciate it when things are floating. I need them to be grounded. I need something at the bottom to say, okay, these flowers are planted in the ground. And so I'm using some different colors to make sure that there is a ground line or a horizon line across the bottom, um, because otherwise it would just drive me crazy for days. And then I'm going back in with that same gray pencil and adding some more shadow and light to the background. I'm not going to just scribble all over that whole white background all the way to the top and make it all one color. I want it to be blended. I want it to be shadow and light. So that's what I'm doing with the gray pencil. And I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to turn on your notification bells so that you know when there's a fresh new video out on my channel. And of course, if you really love this and you want to share it, you can share it with a friend directly, or you could pin it on Pinterest or put it on Facebook. All those type of things are available. All those things help my channel grow. Also, in the description box below the video, down there where it says, you can click where it says show more, there will be a coupon for you to receive a percentage off if you click on that and go to purchase some ARTEZA products. It could be any of the products. It doesn't have to be the ones that I showed today. But if nothing else, you should get some graphite paper if you're one of those people who keep telling me how you can't draw. That would be a good purchase for you. So you just use that link and there'll be a little coupon code that you can type in when you check out to give you a little bit off. So here's what I was talking about, the last thing that I was doing. This is a charcoal colored, charcoal gray or charcoal black or something like that colored pencil. It's like almost one of the darkest ones. They're still black, a black one and maybe a couple others that are darker. But what I'm doing is adding more shadow after the fact. Now I could have done this before. I could have shaded everything before with the pencil and then went with a color over the top. But instead, I decided to just do it this way. This kind of detracts from your eye looking at those very, very specific harsh lines that I got on there with the graphite paper, the transfer paper. It's making them a little bit more blended. So I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just putting it here and there right over the top and then blending it with my water tank brush. And I just think it gives it a little bit more organic feel than having those harsh lines. The lines are still there and that's not a problem for me, but just a little bit more shading, a little bit more dynamic that way. And I could have continued to do this and really, really gotten into it and made it even more dynamic. It spent more time, but I did want to be able to finish this project within 20 minutes in a video. And so I kind of let it go at some point. And of course, this is just my watercolor journal. So I'm not going to be putting this in a museum or something. So that's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.